I am just unsure that this is really happening. Like, is summer break really coming to an end? Because I know for a lot of parents, you're like, there's no way. There's no way, because this has been a while. Thousands of Arizona students, though, they are heading back to school either this week, next week, the following. That includes the Chandler Unified School District. Classes are set to resume this Wednesday.
Right.
I can't believe it. We've got Assistant Superintendent Dr. Mike De La Torre joining us now this morning with just some important safety reminders to set us up for success as we go back to the classroom. Top of mind, what is it over there in Chandler? What are you guys thinking when it comes to safety?
Well, it's a priority for us in the district, and so it comes in a lot of different facets, right? Yeah. So it is about training our staff around being able to deal with all different types of scenarios. We've just spent the last week working with our administrators and teachers around things like threat assessment and being able to keep an eye out for students and that may be struggling in some areas. But there are always bits of advice that we try to give to parents, right? Social media is out there, so we always tell parents to report, don't repost. On the social media, and then to keep in tune with what their parents or what their students might be involved with their social media aspects of things. But for that matter, just the community in general, when you do hear things, and it's maybe a cliche, but they say they'll say to be able to report it, right? Don't ever leave it as a secret and wonder whether you could. So go ahead and if you see something, say something with things. And then traffic is always a challenge at the beginning of the school year. Everybody's getting into new routines, right? And campuses can be very, very busy.
And
so
everyone is always in a rush.
Right. So always plan ahead, know the route, and make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra time as people settle into their routines with things so that they're getting there safely to school, because that's always important.
Let's talk about online safety, especially when it comes to schools, because we've got Chromebooks, we've got things like that. So what does Chandler do to make sure that kids are safe when they're online?
Well, good thing for us this year, we've had recent legislation. We've always had it in policy for, number one, for students not to have cell phones during class time, because that's always a big distraction in instructional time.
That's one of the biggest wins that we've had this last year. It's incredible.
So, the law will support what we've had in policy, which is great, and so we should be able to protect some more instructional time during the day, and it's easy for us to be able to use the law as a support piece of things. But we also have a lot of filter systems for our computers that our students are logged into during the course of the day that track what students are doing and or at least filtering what people are saying online, right? Sure. And we get those reports on a daily, and maybe it is something that was a quote from a book, or maybe there is somebody certainly struggling with things, that information comes to us, and we follow up with each of those things to find out what is the background behind those things, so that if we need to provide more support or that we need to have a threat assessment team put together, then we can take those steps forward. But we do have those filter systems in place.
Is Chandler doing the student ID batches or passes that kids are now wearing?
They do. So we have ID. We all have IDs, right? Students have always had IDs, but really great on the back of those IDs is they have QR codes with things like Team Lifeline numbers and where that people can scan in. We have hotline tip numbers that parents and students can call in for anonymous information to us, so that we can follow up on those things. And again, we take everything seriously. You can't take even one little bit of information lightly as a step forward for any kind of a situation.
For parents who are, maybe a little anxious getting back into the routine of school, maybe a little anxious sending their kids off again and just trying to work out the first day, scaries almost. What are some tips that you have for them?
Well, I would say first, trust that we're ready and we're prepared to receive your students, and they are the most important person on our campus. And I always tell students, we have all this staff here, and the only reason why they're here is they're here for you. Right, and so we want to make sure that they feel safe and that they're connected with it. So our adults are trying to connect with each and every kid, and so that they have a safe person they can come to. And we ask students to identify those people, particularly our littles, right? That they know who their teacher is, and we have open house nights early on in the year, even prior to school, even for high school with freshman orientation, the day before, so they feel comfortable with the situations. I would also encourage parents to sign up for things like, for us, it's Parent Square. So that they can get the email pushes and texts that go straight to their phone, so they can keep up with things. So when we try to get out information, we have the ability to push information to them in different format or different ways, and depending on the priority of it. And so if you're signed up for those things, you're going to get the latest messages as quickly as possible, as well as that even just the preparedness stuff. So the list that maybe parents need for their classrooms and things like that. That stuff is being pushed out by our site principals through Parent Square, and even our teachers to use that as well for the individual classrooms.
For things that happen at home where I'm hearing something from my child who's at school, whether it's a concern about safety or maybe it's gossip or something, what are the protocols or what are the steps that I need to take to alert the school? Sometimes parents, we just kind of like, oh, maybe it's just stuff that's at school. Maybe I don't want to get too involved. Maybe I don't want to be that pushy parent.
Sure.
But what should I do? What steps should I take?
Well, clearly report, right? So we know we have all those tip lines and things like that, but we're always interested in partnering with parents. So call the school and let them know. Our receptionists are great receiving phone calls. They'll direct you where you need to be able to get in contact with. Even tell you if your students are feeling uncomfortable with things, have them report to a counselor or administrator. And again, like I said, every one of those situations we want to take seriously and look deeper into. So never feel bad about contacting the school about a concern. So that's what we're here for. That's our jobs, to be able to receive those calls, whether it be for a care and concern situation or, hey, we just need to support on the academic side of things. So I would say always just call. And if you think if it's an immediate threat, you know, or a concern, go ahead and call our area agency police departments. We work with our agencies on the weekly and the daily to be able to communicate information and share how best we can serve our community.
You have been in deep with public schools in Arizona for years. I mean, we're talking about almost 30 years, right?
Yep.
When you talk about public schools, I mean, I feel like in the recent years, Arizona rankings are not great. But when we talk about hope for this new school year, what can you, any light that you can spread for parents and that they should really be invested in these schools?
Well, you know, our schools are doing a fantastic job. At least, you know, I speak just on Chandler Unified School District, and I would put up our schools against any school district out there in the nation, and being able to compete and show the products of what our students can do. And so I would say, you know, as a parent, as a parent of 3 kids that have gone through schools and particularly Chandler schools, buy into what your teachers are doing and find out how you can support and volunteer. And, you know, that is a huge piece of the support behind the scenes with things. Attendance is another thing that's we wanting to get students to class, right? And we saw the recent phenomena where students maybe are less attentive to school, going there on a daily basis. And so we want to bring those numbers down. So where those supports and those systems that we can best help our students are at school. So when they're not at school, they're not accessing those services in there. So, you know, get your kids up, get them to school, and we're ready to receive them and educate them on a daily basis with things. And so I'm very proud of what our schools are able to do right now, and we're anxious to get started with our students, right? Like, it's an exciting time of the year. Everybody from our pre-kindergarten kids to our kindergarten kids are just newly coming to school, to our seniors that are, you know, finishing their last year. The beginning of school is just an exciting time overall for families. And so I would say, you know, dive right in. There's so many activities and things that you can get involved with your kids that we're ready to partner with you.
Man, we're lucky to have people like you in our community who just continue to fight for the kids here. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck this week. We're going to send things over to sports now.